welcome to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast where we have a game to talk about. Rotherham United go to Cambridge United on Saturday afternoon for the final game before Christmas. It will hopefully be another game to add to the unbeaten run, but we'll talk a bit more about that over the next hour or so. Thank you for joining us, Mick and Danny. It's always a pleasure to have you guys with us.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
So let's start with what the developing story in football is at the minute before we come on to Rotherham United. We're recording on Thursday, and there was many a time today I thought I would just flick Twitter on and Rotherham's game will be cancelled. There are around 15 EFL games cancelled already, plus some Premier League games as well. As things stand, the Rotherham game is on. At time of recording, is back to the good old phrase that we use. But that is a big caveat to that there are some reported staff members have COVID, and with how quickly it spread at other clubs, there is a possibility it could spread further. Danny, it's a bit like first time around. Everything's happening really, really quickly, and football seems to be once again at the forefront of loads of people getting it really quickly.
Yeah, and I think the EFL's response has actually been quite sensible this time around, because they've seen the sudden spike in cases, and then now they've implemented their new, I think it's red notice protocol, with the whole, social distancing, eating and travelling, just to create the player bubbles. And they've also given us a bit more insight into what criteria needs to be met for a game to still go ahead. And we know it's now 14 players and one goalkeeper. Or 14 players with a goalkeeper. And if that's the case, your game's on. Whether or not that translates to fans either being in reduced capacity or not at all in stadiums, we'll have to wait and see. They'll have to leave that to the government's discretion, I think. But, I think that might fall under COVID passports, at least until the new year, I think.
Yeah. Mick, what are your thoughts on the EFL? I agree with Danny. I think the statement came a little bit late. It could have come a couple of hours earlier, to be fair, but it all makes sense. They're setting guidelines, they're setting rules. That's what we need. Us as fans and the clubs need to know where they stand and what they can and can't do, basically.
Yeah, 100%. I didn't think that they'd come when I sort of agreed that EFL were doing a decent job, but they seem to have done a decent job, so credit where credit's due. It's got to be dealt with, and much as I would like to see this happen to some clubs, what happened to us last season can't be allowed to happen again. It was outrageous, and they'd not got the protocols in place, and they didn't really know what they were doing. It would appear that they've learned from last season's debacle.
From us,
from us. Yeah. That remains to be seen whether that is actually the case. Only time will tell, but hopefully they have. So we'll see. I'm not bitter about anything.
No.
Well,
no. We'll find out about your levels of bitterness later on when we talk about who's reffing the game. But I thought it was just sort of mental health check for everybody. I hope everybody's doing all right. I know it's been tough past couple of days with all the news that's coming through on Wednesday when everything started. I found myself getting a bit down and frustrated with everything. I hope everybody's doing all right in all seriousness. Because
100%.
It's crap, but we will get through it together as a fan base and as a group of people. Everybody's watching. Thank you for joining us out. We're giving you a little bit of a bright spark. Is that the right word?
Well, it doesn't apply to any of us three, does it? So
no, that's true. Anyway, yeah. I'm sure this will crop up later on in the week and in the shows, but that's where we are at the minute, and we'll get on with what we can. So the game is going to let's talk about it as if it is happening. Cambridge United away it's going to be a tough one, Danny. We played them a month ago, and they caused us a lot of problems. They're one of the better teams, more efficient, more organised teams we've played this season. It's not going to be an easy game at all.
Not at all, no. And I think they gave a very good account of themselves at New York as well. I read an interview today. Their manager is again another manager who said he admires the club that we've built and says he wants to put Cambridge in a similar position, or at least a position that they aspire to be in, which is us. So that's nice to hear. It's nice to be an opposition manager's actually big us up, unlike the MK fella. But yeah, but it's weird one playing the same team within a month and we're not even over the halfway mark yet. So it definitely adds a different dynamic of they'll know how we play, but we.
Go out there, Danny.
Dog's just bitten my mother. So I'm sorry if you just did an epic squeak, everybody. But yeah, like I say, we've only just played them. Really, they know how we play. But we know how to counteract that. But it definitely won't be as much of a difference in scoreline as it was at New York. I think they'll probably reduce the deficit to probably only a single goal. Because they'll not want to concede 3 again. That's for sure. And yeah, they gave a very good account of themselves against Wigan, drawing 2-2, which has helped us out massively. Thank you, Cambridge. And even though they've lost against Sunderland, it wasn't a bad loss, losing 2-1 to Sunderland, and then they've absolutely battered Cheltenham, and then they've lost the most recent game against Charlton, I think it was.
Well, they're in hell for man, Charlton, to be fair.
Yeah. So even though there are a couple of losses in there, they're not bad losses. So I think Cambridge have written a very decent account for themselves this season. And, you know, for a couple of their sides, all I can say is fair play to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go through a couple of comments. Evening, lads, from Harvey Kelvick. Nice to have you with us.
Hello.
And Lee McGarry is with us as well. Thank you for joining us, guys. A couple of bits of team news from their side, Mick, and potentially good news for us. Wes Houlihan is a big doubt for Cambridge, and he essentially ran the show at New York. I know he's nearly 40 years old, but he weren't far off the best player on the pitch on the day. So that's, if he is out, it's not confirmed, but if he is out, that would be a big plus for us.
It'd be a massive plus. It'd be a massive plus because, as you say, he ran the show, didn't he, for them? You know, he was really, really good. And to be fair, from recollection, and you know me, you know my memory, I struggle to remember what I had for my breakfast. But I don't really recall them causing causing us too many difficulties without him being involved. You know what I mean? But it's going to be a tough game, as they all are in this division, particularly away games. You know, it's not going to be easy. But what I was going to say was that if we can play to our best, we should win comfortably. However, that possibly is not even that's probably a ridiculous statement. But yeah, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be really, really difficult because obviously we're not just playing Cambridge, are we?
Okay, let's bring it up. Like the elephant in the room. Stephen Adams, does Kettle ring any bells? Yes, Mr. Trevor Kettle.
Can I just say, Steve, that your first comment, which it really, really worried me. I'll be honest with you when that came up, because Steve put this comment up that's on the screen now. Is it insensitive to say that I've just put the kettle on, Mick? Which he put that on prior to the podcast starting, and I was logged on and everything else. I'd walked away from the screen, shouted to my wife, "Do you want me to put the kettle on?" And then came back to the screen and saw that. And I was starting to wonder what else Steve could hear in my house and who else I've been slagging off prior to that comment. So
you need to start checking little pots in your room, Mick, for microphones.
Yeah. So Steve, no, it's not insensitive, but it were a bit worrying, I've got to
say. Yeah. Trevor Kells is somehow a semi-professional referee, which is to the bewilderment of absolutely everybody in football. Cheryl Stone says the 25th of August 2016, not that we hold a grudge. I think that was the Jimmy Proctor incident. We can go back to 2006 or 2007 when he sent off 3 Rotherham players plus Mick Hartford and then gave Barnsley a goal that hadn't crossed the line. Again, we don't hold grudges. But
I do. Gavin Ward.
Yeah. Also with Trevor Kettle, whenever somebody puts up, the other podcasts with ref watch and things like that, when you get other people's fans replying saying God, he's awful, you know he's not very good. You know what I mean?
I mean, at least he's not biased. He's just awful.
Yeah, exactly. Gavin Ward, we don't like Gavin Ward because things happened last year. I'm pretty sure not everybody else has the same feelings, but everybody has the same feelings about Trevor Kettle.
Yeah.
YouTube user says he hates us. I just think he hates football. That's the only reason I can think he keeps doing it, because he just doesn't like football. He wants to upset everybody. Yeah, Danny, you've not had much pleasure watching him, bearing in mind you've over the last 4 or 5 years watching. So I suppose you're very relatively new to the Kettle hating.
I mean, in terms of being a Rotherham fan, yes, but in terms of being someone who actually has some sort of competent understanding of refereeing, I saw what happened. I think it was Accrington were playing for somebody, and they scored a goal in like the 96th minute, and he went, "No, it's not standing because I've just blown the whistle." But it's like, but they were in an attacking move. You know, even though it's not written in law, it's a common courtesy that if one team's attacking and it looks like a decent chance, you don't blow the whistle. You know, but what Accrington are about on the edge of the penalty area, and he's blown his whistle and it's gone in, and he's like, "No, I've blown my whistle, it don't count." And it's like, some things just, and then you say with the Jamie Proctor incident, that was against Charlton, I think, wasn't it? I think that was one of my first experiences of Trevor Kettle, and it's like, is he just a fool or an idiot, you know, or is he doing it on purpose, you know, just to try and make a name for himself? But now his refereeing ability needs to be questioned more in certain situations, you know, because he's weirdly card happy, but he always insists that he's right every single time, and no one will tell him different. Like it's his decision or nothing. Whereas you compare it to the referee that ref the Barrow Ipswich game, and he was involved. He was talking to the players, who were actually telling him why he's made the decision, and I think he was a lot better for doing so. He actually communicates the decision. Where Trevor Kettle's more of it's my decision, go away, you know. So yeah, I think I've said this to my mates. I've said, Ray, it ends on the 21st game because it's Trevor Kettle. No, that's excuses. Don't make excuses for it. But I mean, if there's ever an excuse to give why you've lost a football game, Trevor Kettle is the best excuse you've got.
Yeah, it's almost like the normal rules don't apply. You know, if we were in good form, which we are always in good form, and Cambridge aren't, you go, yeah, it should be comfortable, you know, in doing it, but we should win that game. All bets are off. You know what I mean? All bets are off.
Yeah.
Cheryl Stone, 19th, 11th, 2005. There you go. That's the origin story of Rotherham United's hatred towards Trevor Kettle. Is hatred the right word, Mick?
I don't know. Well, you know how you like your symmetry and stuff. You talk about symmetry and sporting symmetry and everything else. Well, you know, we had the debacle last weekend with Michael Massey, and then so the symmetry is that we've got a debacle this weekend with Trevor Kettle, haven't we? You know, it seems it's kind of written in the stars, really. You know what I mean?
That's
written
really
in the symmetrical stars. Say again.
That's really specific to you and the few Rotherham fans who are also Formula One fans. It's very, very specific.
You mean other people have lives?
I mean, other people don't.
Not just me. Yeah. I guess it is.
I know what you're saying, though. I know what you're saying.
You know, incompetence is incompetence at whatever level and wherever it happens, in it. You know, and that's essentially all joking aside. He is incompetent and proves himself to be incompetent week after week, and yet is still employed. And you know, I can say that from I am biased in terms of when he's refereeing us, but week after week after week after week, different football supporters from different football clubs say exactly the same thing. You know, so and they've been saying it for years. You know, so it's not just a bad performance here or a bad performance there. It's a bad performance week in, week out, and that bad performance is down to incompetence, and yet he's still employed. It doesn't make any sense. It genuinely doesn't.
Can I just say, Mick, you have missed the perfect opportunity for a rhyme there. Because it's not just the odd mistake here, it's not the odd mistake there, it's the odd mistake everywhere. You've missed the perfect rhyming opportunity there.
Oh, mate.
Yeah. I'm interested to know how it affects players. You know, going into games, knowing about history of that referee. I'm interested to know how they will. We'll hopefully find out more about that in the next week or so. I'll leave that as a bit of a teaser. But I'm generally interested how certain players, if they've got a history with a certain referee, does that player go into that game thinking, I've got to do this, or this might happen? It's interesting to me. As fans, we don't matter, does it? We can call him whatever, it don't matter. But as a player, they're the important ones. Yeah, which will.
Yeah.
I'm getting a boost on Trevor Kettle. I hope so, anyway. John Moscow on Facebook. Hi guys, good morning. Good in from the Sunshine Coast in Australia.
Oh, stop it.
Power of the internet, eh?
Yeah, it's
Oh, cheers, John.
5 full degrees where we are, John. I'm sure it's much more than that where you are.
Yeah.
So let's move on to a bit of team news for us. Wes Harding looks like it's going to be back, Mick. He's trained all week. Mikael Miller is out, which is a shame. We've got cover. What are you looking for this week? There's going to be changes for me. Your first one's Chio. She'll come back in for Sadlier.
Yeah.
Where else? Where else are you looking at freshening things up potentially?
I don't know if we are we? Ben Wiles was looking really tired and jaded, as we said in the last podcast, last game. Maybe Ben Wiles gets a rest. Jamie Lindsay can come in and take that place, or even possibly opens the door for a Dauphin, possibly. I don't know. But possibly more likely to be Jamie Lindsay. That probably for me is about the only place where you would look to freshen it up, if you like, just to give Ben Wiles that bit of a rest, which he appeared to need. Whether he does or not, I don't know. Whether there's something else at play in that last match, but other than that, I don't see any reason to change it.
The only problem with taking Wiles out is you lose your attacking sense. Jamie Lindsay's not as attacking. And although we haven't seen much of a Dauphin, I'm pretty confident he is more a defensive player. So you restrict yourself. Then you are then potentially, Danny, you're almost isolating Smithy and Freddie by not giving him that extra bit of support. But then there's always Sadlier as an option, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true. I think if Wiles was to come out and Lindsay come in, you'd probably need to keep Barlaser and Lindsay in like a flat 4 with the wingers on either side.
Yeah.
And then that should work, sort of counteract itself and work out. But then you would have either Rathbone or even Sadlier come in and play as the independent cam, which is sort of like the opposite way our system works. We tend to play with Barlaser sitting in the middle on his own. But I think with Wiles, I think now that he's had a week just to sort of settle a little bit and get his groove back a little bit, that will probably help him out. And if the game does go ahead, which in all senses of it probably will, because we've got the whole random spot check update from the club and the travelling down tomorrow. So I think unless a disaster happens, we should all be heading to Cambridge, players and fans, which is good. But I think the week rest will have done him good, because we had another hellish schedule of Saturday, Tuesdays, didn't we?
Yeah.
And the way that we play, I think naturally Wiles would have been tired, because he's not really come out for a rest yet. But now he's had his week. Hopefully he's a lot better. And like you say, I think the only change I can see really is Ogbenny coming in for Sadlier on the right-hand side. I mean, I'd be happy with a team that lined up against Cambridge last time. But that's a bit too obvious, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe instead of sending it down the right, we're sending it down the left because we've got Ferguson there. We've still got Barlaser with his distribution. So, I think just the odd tweak and we should be all right. It's a shame about Miller and I think it's his hamstring that he's done, isn't it? Or his calf or something. It's a shame. Yeah, it's a shame really, but, he's the sort of guy that is a self-motivator, so I'm sure he'll use it to his own advantage and improve even more to get back in the side.
Yeah, no, definitely. Any changes, Mick? So you're still happy with Smithy and Freddie? Again, all things considered, we heat praise on for the last episode, so I assume it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, based on last game's performance, if anybody's out of those two is going to have a rest, it's going to be Smithy, isn't it? You know what I mean? Because Freddie's he's playing so well. He's scoring goals. He's working hard. He still has his moments, but players at this level all do. You know what I mean? So no, I can't see any changes up front, and if there are, it could be Smithy. Freddie's done nothing to lose that shirt at the moment. In fact, all he's done is cement his place.
Yeah, we've got to bear in mind we after this game we have then got a hectic couple of weeks, haven't we? Less than a couple of weeks. What, 3 games inside a week, haven't we? Coming up after this, we've got this game, and then I'm scheduled to have Accrington to Boxing Day. Lincoln 3 days later, and then Bolton again 3 days later. And then Papa John's after that, but we'll obviously rotate for that. I wonder, do you think this is when they'll start to plan for it, Danny, or do you think because we've got more than a week for Rose's next game, this game was almost not part of the Christmas period, so it almost doesn't really matter, unless they're already injured, obviously.
Yeah, possibly. It's not part of the. It's part of the festive running, but not part of the festive block, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So maybe a little bit more caution and oversight will be given to Boxing Day, the middle day, and then New Year's Day. Probably the same approach that we'd probably take around the Easter fixtures as well. Concentrate on that as its own entity, and then on this game, well, if you're fit and it's the right fit for the squad, you can play. But then you sort of have to line your bits up a bit better around Christmas. But I think Warren's proven time and again this season certainly that we have the depth to rotate it, but still perform very well. And yeah, I'm not too worried unless someone has like a calamitous injury and they're out for 3 months. Touch wood, that don't happen. I think we should be all right. I think Warney's learned from his mistakes in previous seasons, and it's all sort of clicked. It's definitely clicked because we've gone 20 games unbeaten. But yeah, I don't know. As the run's gone on, we've sort of gone from strength to strength even more. Even when we've not been the best on the pitch, we've still persevered through it. Like against Port Vale, somehow Stockport as well. We've just sort of persevered through tough games that could be banana skins, and again, this one is a banana skin. So unless Trevor Kettle has got some sort of plastic note in his pocket to go against us, we'll probably persevere through this one as well.
Yeah, hopefully so. Shellstone, what's the news on Dan, who had tested positive? That was...
He's tested positive being the best midfielder in the league.
Yeah, that was a joke one for UFC about him being best midfielder in the league. I hope he's fine. I hope that joke doesn't he also mentions, back on the COVID thing, the Wednesday Accrington game's off due to COVID. Good question. We play Accrington in 10 days' time. The Wednesday game to Accrington is off because of Sheffield Wednesday, not because of Accrington.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll work in our favour, because then Accrington can, if they need to isolate now, they can do before our game. But that's a good question for other clubs that are having games called. Lincoln have got their game called up against Donny. We play Lincoln in the festive period.
Same with Bolton, haven't they called their game off as well?
Their game's off, yeah, against MK Dons.
Yeah. I think that's in MK Dons court, though, isn't it? Their COVID tests.
Yeah, and it won't be the last. Hopefully ours will make it through, but there will be more games called off this weekend. Unfortunately. That's the way we're living at the minute. At least we can go. That's the key thing, Danny. And we can still go to those games. This is not a hark back to 2 years ago. Things are different in a positive way. I know there are still problems, but we are in a much better position from a fan point of view. Yeah,
I think there's a lot more options to still get us there as well. Like when everything sort of shut down last season, it was right, the door just shut in your face and you couldn't go, and nobody knew what were happening. Whereas now, at least we know what's happening. We know what protocol are in place. We know what is effectively Plan B with the COVID passes, because even though it's over 10,000, I think it's 10,000 capacity or attendance, whichever one it
capacity, I think. I'm not
sure. Whichever one it is. That's how it is at the minute, and it's down to the clubs to implement it. We haven't heard anything from Rotherham yet, but I imagine probably just after Boxing Day or on Boxing Day, we'll say bring your passes on the 29th. It might become routine for all clubs. That might be the next step. But at least there are things in place. I mean, people have called for a fire break over the festive period. I think that's more noise from the Premier League more than anything.
Big noise from the Premier League.
Yeah, but they've got the money to do that. They've got the money just to go, right, let's stop it for the festive period, and then we'll go again on New Year's Day or whenever they've said it was. But unfortunately, the EFL need to have a lot more consideration into that, because we've got more games to play. So if you call off the game on Saturday, Boxing Day, and the game on the 29th just to go, right, I'll go again on New Year's Day, that's 3 extra games you have to squeeze in somewhere into an end of the season that might be busy anyway. So if someone has another spike and they have to call more games off, then you've still got them 3 games to play. If teams are having a run in the FA Cup, that's another game stuck onto it. And I don't think the EFL want a situation that Rotherham Founder sends in, where we called off 3 games and then they had to be called off again because of the FA Cup, and we ended up playing 4 games in a week. You know, the EFL don't want that happening on a mass scale, so I don't think a 5 break would happen in the EFL. I think it'd just be more of a limited capacity thing, more than anything. But, you know, if the Premier League's got the money for it, you carry on as you are, lads. You do what you want.
Yeah,
You know?
money's a key thing. You look at Accrington on Boxing Day. If we moved our game from, let's say, mid-February, which would have to go to midweek, wouldn't be a choice. It would have to be a midweek game. They're going to lose out on probably half that crowd. Half the crowd won't be able to go to a midweek game compared to a Boxing Day game. So that's something else the EFL have got to factor in as well. We don't have much risk appeal.
Like I said, Premier League's got money for it. They can just simply go, right, we're not going to play that, you're going to play it a different day. Because the Premier League, as much as they claim against this, they are less fan orientated than the Championship downwards. But yeah, like I said, they've only got 38 games to play in a season, whereas we've got 46. You know, that's a big difference. You know, that's at least 3 or 4 weeks of 2 game a week, you know, schedule. You know, but
and we've got cup competitions as well. They've got 38 plus cup. We've got 46 plus cup. Yeah,
46 plus cup. Because I mean, we've still got 3rd round of the FA Cup to come. We've still got round of 16 of the Pizza Cup, whereas the Premier League's got the odd one in the League Cup and then the FA Cup. You know, so the EFL play more games. You know, and make less money.
I can't believe that you're saying that Premier League clubs are not fan orientated. I can't believe. Have you not seen the tweet that's been going around today about from Arsenal's?
I know it's a bold statement. I know, but you know, they have to be fan orientated to charge £18 for a double cheeseburger and chips when there's a McDonald's
£18.50. Yeah, I mean
£18.50. Just go McDonald's down road.
It's just fantastic that they think about the fans so much.
Yeah,
and consider that, you know, that's stupid. But, yeah. £18.50 for a burger.
I know.
It's burger and chips, though.
Oh, sorry. Oh, that's all right then.
The thing that irritates me about that is you can get add chips for £3.75. I can buy a pie at New York Stadium for about that price, and that's my meal done. Whereas you want to add chips just for that amount. At McDonald's, you can add chips to an order for 99p. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's wild, isn't it? It is wild. And
it's a different world. It's literally a different world.
Well, yeah, it's like a little. I don't know what the word is. It's like just a little indication of what Premier League football has become. You know, just in that one little picture there of a burger and chips. It's an indication of what football's becoming.
Is the word commercialised? Commercialised.
Yeah, probably.
Where it's just about the profit and not about the service, you know, of providing entertainment. But the thing with
it didn't even look like a nice burger. The burger looked average.
And it looked dry, didn't it?
Yeah.
It looked dry, and tomato looked like it had seen better days, you know. But you see these meals that other clubs provide, like the pulled pork and chips. I think it was at Grimsby. You know, that looks incredible.
Yeah, it did.
You know, and then you see Arsenal with the dry cheeseburger and chips for £18.50. It's like, really? You know, I know prices in London are bad, but that's a new level, surely. Robbing dogs. My mum's exactly what my mum's just said. Robbing dogs.
Yeah. No, it is absolutely. Bit of League One breaking news, which could end up affecting us, as Ipswich Town have finally appointed a new manager. Kieran McKenna, who was the former first-team coach at Manchester United under Jose Mourinho, they're going to go. Solskjaer has now gone to Ipswich Town.
Well, that was going well there, weren't it? So,
well, you know. Yeah,
I mean, he's only been first team coach under 2 managers that have got sacked, so he's obviously a class act.
Yeah, I say breaking news. We could go into full conversation, but I don't know anything about him. Mick doesn't know anything about him. Danny, I assume you don't know much about him.
I didn't know who he was when you said his name. I'm sorry about that, but when you said first team coach at Man United, it's like, okay, you know, it's like the thing of the fellow who manages Huddersfield now. He was first team coach under Guardiola, wasn't he? could end up being something similar, but it's a definite job to take on at Ipswich for your first dabble at big club management. 19 players signed in the summer, and then they've sacked the guy who signed them. So
after less than 6 months.
Yeah, I mean,
it's obviously a secure job, isn't it? It's a secure post. You know that you're doing that for life, don't you? Or just for Christmas.
Yeah.
If it gets a good payoff, why not?
Yeah. Managers for life. Managers for a few seasons, not just for Christmas. Well, we'll have to see whether Ipswich proved that to be right or wrong. I mean, the fans will have been wailing out the old teams like # last night, I imagine. It would be teams like Barrow last night, wouldn't it? I would have thought. So teams like Rotherham, but, let's see if I can upset somebody else, I suppose. Well, we're here because we've not got a great deal else to talk about now. Well, we've only got one game to preview.
Yeah. It's an interesting time. It could turn out to be a revelation. It could turn out to be average. Nobody's got any idea, so let's wait and see on that one.
I think it will just go one or two ways. It'll be a revelation or a revolution from the Ipswich fans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. In a month's time, he might be out of a job. Who knows? Couple of comments. Bazza, why can't the EFL extend the season as Paul Warne suggested? Now, this is an interesting one. Again, we're the only thing to talk about really is the COVID situation. It's blown up in football, as we mentioned today. Mick, why can't we extend the season? In your opinion, what's stopping us adding an extra month on?
Nothing. Same as it were when we were in there last time.
We had the Euros last year, didn't we?
Yeah, but we did. Yeah. Did they set a precedent last season? In my view, they set a precedent. And again, we go back to what I talked about symmetry, don't we? About Michael Massey last week changing rules as he goes along. Just to suit. You either do it or you don't. You can't not do it and say we can't do this because of X, and then the next season say, oh no, we can now actually. You know what I mean? Once you've made that decision, you've made that decision. So you have to think about your decisions carefully, clearly, and rationalise them. And they didn't do that last season, as far as I'm concerned. And they left us absolutely deep in it. And playing 4 games in 8 days, which massively contributed towards the fact that we're now in League One. Massively. There are other issues. There were other issues. I accept that. It's not the only reason, but it was a big reason. So, yeah, they could extend it. I don't think they will. I don't think they should. I think the precedent was set last season for me. That's my view. But then I am a bit bitter about what happened last year, which is unlike me.
You're a bit bitter about what happened last week.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm still bitter about Formula One. I'm not all that.
I'm going to ask you how long it's going to take you to get over that, but
it's a while. I'm like Gavin Ward.
Yeah, exactly. Cheryl Stone mentioned the League One playoff final is a week earlier this year. This is a real quirk of the football calendar this year. The Championship and the League Two playoff final are on the same weekend, but the League One final is the week before. And I've no idea why. There may be some reason. I haven't probably investigated it, but they are in different weekends for the first time that I can ever remember, to be honest with you. It's really strange.
I'll tell you what it is. It's going to be either Sunderland and Portsmouth, or Sunderland and Wednesday, or Wednesday and Portsmouth. So it's going to be a full house for League One playoff final.
So that's an interesting thing, yeah. Probably due to anticipation rather than, No,
I didn't say that. No, not anticipation. It's definitely going to be. It's already arranged, mate. Tickets are printed and everything. So it'll be Portsmouth and Sunderland. It won't be Wednesday, obviously.
No, they're going to win league. What are you on about?
Oh yeah, well exactly. Baz said so.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
It is interesting. I don't know why that's the case. It's really, really weird. But there you go. Probably blame NFL, Mick. Something to do with NFL, probably.
Yeah.
Well, they don't play in May, do they? No, never mind.
And they play at Tottenham. But apart from that, yeah, it could be them.
It's somebody's fault, isn't it?
FIA, blame Michael Massey.
Michael Massey. Blame Michael Massey again. He's not enough grief from me this week.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be funny
Oh,
to be a Rotherham fan and you just upset him now? It'd be weird because he's Australian, but it'd be interesting. It'd be funny.
Well, it might be a neighbour of John who messaged in earlier on from Gold Coast. He might be next door neighbour or something. John, just check his door neighbour. It's not Michael Massey. If it is, let me know.
He might be an Adam Lefondre fan for all you know.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, where was he play for? Melbourne or Sydney? Sydney, innit?
Sydney.
Sydney FC.
Yeah.
Sydney, yeah.
We should know that. Sorry, Alfie, if you're listening.
I think it is Sydney.
Yeah. Liam McGarry, I mentioned about Accrington. Really looking forward to Accrington away. Hope it doesn't get cancelled. Hope it's a good away day. I think we're all looking forward to that one. There'll potentially about 2,000 Rotherham fans there on Boxing Day. We really want that.
Yeah, definitely.
Couple more bits to cover. There is contract talk. Season has come early, Danny. Richard Wood is in talks to extend his deal. You'd assume we would. It's not a year-on-year basis. It's a no-brainer. No matter what league we're in, it's just a no-brainer to keep him on staff, playing staff.
100%. And just you said you say about contracts. So just before I joined the call, if you like, I'm having a look at some other contract information, but we'll get onto that in a second. But yeah, with Woody, I think it's like I say, it's virtually given that in this point in his career, it's just a rolling year contract. Probably because that's what he's happy with, or it's what his agent's happy with, or whatever. But yeah, it's a no-brainer. I think it's virtually nailed on that he's going to sign it. That's what Warney said. He said it's just like dotting the I's and crossing the T's now, and that's effectively Woody with us for another year. And best thing is it gives him another chance to work on his coaching, because I think given the system we play, he'll probably be an interchangeable centre-back with somebody else in the middle of that back three. And it'll give him more time to concentrate on his coaching, and then whenever he feels ready, he can step into the coaching role rather than the playing role. But that's not going to happen until he's at least 46. So there's a fair few rolling year contracts that he's still got left to see out. But you never know; it might surprise us. He might commit for 2 years, or he might even commit for 3 years. So then he's got his job security in place, if you like. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I think it's one of them where we expect it just for a year deal, but that surprises. But anyway, there's other bit of contract talk. It was published on Radio Sheffield on Football Heaven. Adam, is it Oakley? I think it is Oxley.
Adam Oxley, yeah.
Yeah, Oxley. I should really know his surname because I've been on call with him before. But yeah, he's had a chat with Chio, and he asked the all-important question of what is the contract situation, and Chio answered it very professionally. I'll give him credit for that. He said that he knows it's something a lot of fans want to know about, but he obviously can't release any details of what's been said and what talks have already been happening. But he said that he's really enjoying his football because he's always smiling at Rotherham. And he said he wants to carry on making history with this club. So I think that's Chio probably signing a new deal at some point later in the season or in the new year. Not nailed on.
It'll be one of those with a reasonable sell-on clause. If I'm Chio, I want to guarantee that if somebody comes in for me, I'm free to go for a reason. I'm not expecting let's put £1 million clause in, but yeah. I think it's best for everybody. From Chio's point of view, if somebody comes in, we accept £5 million. If he signs a 3-year contract, that's not crazy money, is it, to be fair? But what's the technicality, I suppose, with that type of thing?
Yeah, but at least we know that he's enjoying his football here and he wants to make history with us. So to me, that's him committing to our idea and wanting to see it through. And then whenever he feels he's got us in a position where he has done that, then he'll probably think it's his time to move on. But, Chio goes with his gut. And to what he thinks is the best decision, and by the looks of things, his best decision is staying with us. So happy days all round, I think.
Yeah, it's a bit like Smith, where although Chio's a lot younger, he's experienced. The bad times might not be the right word, Mick, but he's experienced not playing football. At Brentford, he weren't getting the minutes on the pitch. Smith's exactly the same. He's been at several places where he's just not been wanted, and he's happy. He's playing football. He's happy. That's got to be massively in any player's decision-making who's had a bad experience.
I think we all know from our sort of working lives, however long those working lives have been, that the difference between working at a place where you're happy and working at a place where you're not enjoying it is massive. You know, it's massive on your outlook on life, on your mental health, on everything. And I'll be surprised if Chio could find another club where he's going to be as happy as he is at the moment, because of the way that the club is run, because of the way that the manager and management staff treat him and the rest of the players and the culture that they've created. You know, he's going to be very, very lucky to find somewhere else like this, as or any is any player, and that's going to be a massive draw for players over and above the money. You know, when it comes to start looking at contract negotiations, because we know and they know that they are not going to be on 10 grand a week here. It's not going to happen. You know, 20 grand a week, whatever. You know, we ain't going to be paying big club wages in inverted commas. That's not who we are and what we're about. So, you know, but they have created an environment where players just enjoy the game, enjoy the football, enjoy the training, enjoy their working life. So that's going to be a big draw. It's going to be a big draw for a lot of players, because let's be fair, you know, we haven't got a squad of players here who are ever going to be, or very few, if any, are ever going to be on 50, 60, 100 grand a week in Premier League. Yeah. Some may, some have got that ability. But I would guess that most of them are realistic enough to understand that probably their level is going to be Championship, maybe top end of Championship, and maybe on 10, 15 grand a week, but not much more. So, you know, they need to enjoy the football while they can, develop to the best that they can, and then maybe get that move to a bigger, again, in inverted commas, Championship club to gain those wages. But we'll see. Chio's not a daft lad, is he? He's clearly got his head screwed on. You know, yeah. I don't know. He strikes me as being somebody who wants to be happy doing what he's doing, and that's probably more important than the financial side of it, potentially, or as important. Hopefully, it is from our point of view, anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't help. He keeps playing for Ireland and doing well, does it?
That don't help now. He needs to knock that off. If we do ever get him on podcast, we need to just mention that to him. That, look, mate, you need to knock that off.
Chio, in the greatest respect, stop playing crap for Ireland.
Come on, mate. Do us a favour.
You've got your 2 goals and your 3 appearances now. Be awful.
Yeah, exactly. Back to the Cambridge game. How do we think then it's going to play out results wise? They've got, I think, Joe Ironside is available, who causes a lot of problems physically in that game. How do you see it playing out for us?
I think, like we've mentioned before, the main takeaway from it is that Wes Hoolahan's injured. The fellow behind the Tivoli View, Will Daniels, he's had a little speak to the media officer at Cambridge, and it's his hamstring that's playing.
Right.
So that is potentially him on the bench.
At best, on bench, you thought, wouldn't you?
Yeah. So that is potentially a benefit, because, like I said before, he ran the show, didn't he? That back pass that he played for their goal were amazing stuff. Yeah. So that could be a benefit for us, like you say, with Ironside playing up top. He's coming to a good vein, you know, against Cambridge and against Charlton as well. He played well, even though they didn't score. But yeah, so it'll probably be similar to the last time we played him, but with a bit more. I'm going to say a bit more of a standoffish approach, you know, because we know how they play, but they know we know how they play. They know how we play, so it might just be a little bit of we'll try and work each other out, like what new system we're going to play, and then we'll probably come to life in the second half. I think when we'll probably just go for it, you know, kitchen sink time, as Warney says.
Yeah. Score prediction, Danny. What do you reckon?
I am going to say 2-1 to us, I think.
That's down. I'll go 1-1. I'll go back to the 1-1s, because they were, when I predicted 1-1, we won quite a lot of games. So I'll stick with 1-1. Mick?
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-1 Millers. Hopefully. But I'm not nailing any colours. I'm not nailing any colours to any masts of any score, really, bearing in mind what we discussed already. You know, it could be 0-0. Both teams score 3 goals and end up 0-0. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I think 2-1 Millers. I think it's going to be a really, really tough game. Really, really tough, this one. Again, because of what we've discussed, not only the way that Cambridge play, but Kettle as well. So that is, in all seriousness, something that we're going to have to contend with, and it is. And that applies to both teams. I accept that. So it's going to be interesting to see how Kettle deals with Ironside, because when he played against us, I wasn't particularly happy with the way he played. I thought he was quite nasty, to be honest. He appeared to have quite a nasty little streak in him. Whether that's just a little bit of immaturity and trying to be, and I don't mean this to sound the way I'm saying it, but I can't think of a better way to describe it. Whether he's just trying to be the big man against Woody, you know what I mean, big hard man, trying that on or what, I don't know. But it's going to be interesting to see how Kettle deals with that. Probably won't deal with it at all. But then again, he may go the other way. You know what I mean? It's certainly, you wouldn't bet, would you, one way or the other, whether he's just going to completely ignore it or send them both off. You know, it could be either. So it's going to be a tough afternoon, as they all are. But I think we've definitely got enough.
We have definitely got enough, haven't we? Definitely. Anything else? We've just about covered everything in. Good question, Stephen. Any prediction on yellow cards? I'll go 12 yellow cards. 12 yellow cards, including managers for each team, and then just 4 reds each. I think that sounds about right for Trevor Kettle, doesn't it?
I suspect it might have been a serious question, but maybe not. I don't know.
That was a serious answer.
Steve knows when I'm putting Kettle on at home, so I mean, it could be. You know what I mean? He might already know the answer.
I reckon every one of our players who plays in front of the defence will get at least 1 yellow card for some sort of minor trip or tackle. Cambridge won't get anything, and then for some reason Neil Warnock will be sent off.
Yeah.
He'll for some reason he'll be in the crowd and they'll spot him and we'll send him off for some reason.
Sounds about right. Anything else we need to cover, boys?
Watch him have a scream game on Saturday night with Kettle.
Yeah, I doubt it as well. But no, I think we're about done. Although I will add the reason I'm not in my usual Rotherham gear is I've just got in from watching Spider-Man, which is an amazing film. So anyone who's yet to go and see it, go see it. Please go see it. It is incredible. Absolutely incredible.
There you go. Mick, get yourself off.
Yeah, I could do. Will it take my mind off Michael Massey?
Probably.
He is the new Gavin Ward. He is the new Gavin Ward of my world.
Okay. So thank you all for watching and listening. Assuming everything goes on Saturday, safe journey down to everybody. Stay as safe as you can.
Get your boosters if you need them.
Get your boosters if you need them. If you need to wear a mask, if you feel like you want to wear a mask, wear one. Don't have a go at any stewards. They're just doing the job. You know what I mean? They're just on minimum wage trying to do the job. Don't give them any grief.
And make sure, for the just in case purpose, that you've got your COVID passes or your negative test, because Cambridge are doing spot checks. So you don't want to be that one person who gets checked and doesn't has it, because you won't be let into the ground, and there's no arguing about it because they've said there won't be. So
they've been fair in notice, haven't they? It's not like they're going to spring it on people. They've been fair in letting people know, to be fair.
Yeah.
And if these checks keep us getting into football grounds, then let's just do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The last thing we want to be, but it's like you've mentioned earlier, be locked down, the door slammed in his faces. Let's do what we can to stay inside football grounds for as long as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Please. I want to be there. I can't bear the thought of not being at football again. So
I'm telling you, Boris will win back more votes if he keeps letting us go to football. But we'll say Boris is the man who kept the football season alive.
He partied about it, but he kept it alive.
Yeah, he partied about it. If Rotherham won't league, there you go. That's what next Conservative Party will be. Rotherham's won't league, and we've got one. We've got one MP there. We have a discount.
It's to end the season now. I'd be fine with that as well.
But Rotherham aren't in front on PPG yet. We need one more win and we're ahead.
I'll take second place. It's fine.
Yeah.
If you're going to give me second place in December, I'll take second place in December.
Very true. Very true.
So yeah, stay safe, guys, over the weekend and week ahead. We have potentially a busy week next week for us, which will hopefully result in some really good stuff for you guys over the next week. Keep an eye out for the stuff we have planned, because if everything comes off as it should do, it's going to be a really good couple of Christmas presents we've got for you. Really, really good.
Definitely. Stocking fillers from New York Talk.
Exactly. Who knows what can happen, but everything is booked in and planned. So it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. Mick's looking forward to it. Danny's looking forward to it.
Oh, yes.
It's going to be good. And I'm not overselling it. I normally oversell these things. I'm not overselling it. This is going to be good. So keep an eye on the socials, because we will need you help with one of them next week. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe on there and give the video a thumbs up. If you're on iTunes, make sure you give us a 5-star rating. We were up in the 150s of the British podcast chart this week. So thanks everybody who's been listening on iTunes and getting us up there. Again, we really appreciate it. Same with Spotify. Make sure you follow us on there if you can. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. We will be back on Sunday night, hopefully talking about a game of football. Either way, we'll be back on Sunday night. Danny, it's been a pleasure, and I'll see you Sunday.
I see you Sunday, and take care, everybody.
And Mick, see you soon. See you Sunday.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Freddy's on one-on-one. The Freddy Freddy shoot container shot. Yeah!